Good afternoon, everyone. It is a rainy, blustery autumn day here in Sidman, Pennsylvania, and for that reason, we've had to move our broadcast indoors today. I'm Kim Hostetler, and I'll be your host for this annual tradition, the Forest Hills Elementary Halloween Parade. This is the 16th year in a row that we've broadcast this parade, and would you believe it is the most watched event that we post on our Forest Hills Channel 182 and on YouTube. And it's all because of the kiddos and how much fun they have with this annual tradition here at Forest Hills. We are almost ready to begin this spectacular parade. And as they have in the past, the Forest Hills Marching Rangers, under the direction of Mr. Mitch Kuster and our very own Jake Kearney, were gracious enough to join us today. In just a moment, they will be marching right down the hallway here toward the district office, and then they'll go right into the gymnasium where they will stop and play as our students march around. And as we've done in the past, I'd like to show you some footage of our morning pre-K students parading through the pods. We have 2 sessions here for our pre-kindergarten students, morning and afternoon, and since we are taping this in the afternoon, we wanted to show you these little cuties from Mrs. Summit's and Mrs. Stifler's morning pre-K classes. Let's take a look. Looks like our marching rangers are coming down the hallway with a very enormous dinosaur, it looks like.
Just go around and then you're going to go back up into there.
Fantastic job, Marching Rangers. And it looks like we have Mrs. Rebecca Roberts and Dr. Rob Dill leading off our parade. I love the outfits. Look at that monarch butterfly and Harry Potter. Fantastic. And right behind them is our pre-K class, Mrs. Summit's afternoon class coming down the hall, and I'm sure this is a very exciting time for these little ones. It's their very first Halloween parade here at Forest Hills Elementary School. And as they parade on by, we do have some crafts to show you that they made in their homeroom, and boy, do they have a lot of crafts actually. The first craft that they did is this little mummy. And then we have these cute little spiders. They were very, very busy, I can see. Let's see. We've got a spider and a bat. Oh, that's a little bit hooked up here. Of a bat and the moon. And what is Halloween without glitter? Moms really love this whenever that glitter goes home, right? And look at these adorable spiders here. This was done by, looks like Brielle. Beautiful work, kiddos. We also have some videos, actually 2 videos. One of Mrs. Summit's AM students and one of her PM students. And it's an annual tradition for Mrs. Summit's to have her students try to break a Halloween piñata. So let's take a look at this. And I see that Mrs. Stifler's pre-K students are next in line. Every one of them look absolutely adorable. Mrs. Stifler's classroom would also like to share some videos with you. They were singing different pumpkin songs, and I also have some crafts to show you that they made in their room. First one is this little monster. It looks like it's made out of a coffee filter here. And this next one, look at that. Wow, it's pretty tall. Try to get it all in there. Riley did this. Good job, Riley. And after our pre-K, we have our kindergarten students. And the first class would be Mrs. Seftick's homeroom. I'm hoping you can hear the Marching Rangers in the background there, playing all the Addams Family tune from their theme show. And we also have some crafts, actually, that Mrs. Seftick students made. They made 2 black cats. One was done by Leo, and another one from Nevaeh. And Mrs. Mangus's room is up next. Ooh, look at Maleficent. That's a movie I definitely want to see, but I haven't had a chance to do so yet. And as you can see, we have some helpers here, some paraprofessionals in the homerooms, and they are definitely appreciated, especially in the kindergarten classes. Mrs. Mangus's room has a few crafts that they would like to show you. The first one is of this spider and its web. Oh, look how adorable. A cute little bat. And, oh, this is so cute too. A nice little witch. And actually, we have some photos to show you of her students making jack-o'-lanterns with Mrs. Semph's students after they read a book. So let's take a look at that.
Jack-o'-lantern, shining bright, perched on the porch on Halloween night. I see you and greet you every year. October 31st is finally here. Jack-o'-lantern, shining bright, perched on the porch on Halloween night. I see you and greet you every year. October 31st is finally here.
And it looks like we have, actually, that's not Mrs. Ann Carpenter, but that is her homeroom. Ann just had a little baby, and she is not here for a few weeks while she gets to enjoy that little bundle of joy. Oh, and I see Thanos. I am such a huge Avengers fan. Aw, the mummy costume. That is adorable, too. We are actually going to take a break after we see Mrs. Carpenter's classroom go by. Every year, it is tradition for all of our kindergarten students to get together on the playground and sing Five Little Pumpkins. So let's take a moment and check that out. All right, I see Miss Zahorak as Snoopy and all of her students. Oh, there's Merida from Brave. Miss Zahorak's children, after the kiddos are done going by here, made some scarecrows in their classroom. Here's one of them done by Rosalie. And another one. Looks like Michael did this one. Beautiful job, kiddos. And we have two more kindergarten classes left. The first one up is Mrs. Ray. You'll notice that all of the teachers have signs indicating whose homeroom, and that actually not only helps you, but it definitely helps me to know who's going to be coming up next. I saw a costume with the clown from It that just went by. I saw on the Today Show that was one of the most popular costumes this year. Mrs. Ray's students made 2 monsters. I'll show you as soon as they are done going by. Here is one of the monsters. And this one looks like Frankenstein. Beautiful job. And our last, oh, look at Mr. Colback. That was great. What a neat idea. Mr. Colback's kindergarten class is up next. He was a very, or I should say his students and Mr. Colback were very busy people here during the holiday season. After his students are done going by, I have some crafts to show you and also some photos of his students making the Indian corn that you're going to see in a moment, and also carving pumpkins. And in the background, you will hear his students singing the song Jack-o'-lantern. Mr. Colback always does an awesome job. Let's check out these Indian corn that Mr. Colback's students made. And let me tell you, these take a long time to squish up that tissue paper like that into little balls. Nice work.
Jack-o'-lantern, Jack-o'-lantern, you are such a funny sight. As you sit there in my window, looking out into the night, to one side, little pumpkin growing on a sturdy vine. Now you are my jack-o'-lantern, that you can't tell why I shine.
And I see the very first grade classroom. Mrs. Stacy Lewis, would you believe this is her last Halloween parade? I don't know, I think I saw a tear rolling down her cheek right there. She is retiring after this year, I do believe. And each year, she always does some really neat crafts in her room for Halloween. She has center set up. And we were in just the other day taking some photos and some videos of her students making some haunted houses and also popcorn hands. And when they're done going by, I'm going to show you those crafts as well. Here's the popcorn hand. Notice the little spider ring and the little candy corn. And of course, it's always so yummy. I wonder if any of these even make it home. And next is the haunted house. And she has parents come in and help, and it's always a wonderful time. And up next we have Mrs. Caitlin Young's Little Monsters. It's a shame that we had to bring the parade indoors, and unfortunately we did not have enough room for all of the literally thousands of parents and grandparents and family members that normally attend our parade. Caitlin Young's class has a video to share with you. It is of her students singing "She'll Be Riding on Her Broomstick." So let's take a look at that.
She'll be riding on a broomstick when she comes, hee hee hee. She'll be riding on a broomstick when she comes, hee hee hee. She'll be riding on a broomstick. She'll be riding on a broomstick. She'll be riding on a broomstick when she comes, hee hee hee. We will warm the black kettle when she comes. Bubble bubble. We bubble. We will warm the big black kettle. We will warm the big black kettle. We will warm the big black kettle when she comes. Bubble, bubble. She will cook toads and spiders when she comes. Ew, yuck. She will cook toads and spiders when she comes. Ew, yuck. She will cook toads and spiders. She will cook toads and spiders. She will cook toads and spiders when she comes. Ew, yuck. We will feed the ghosts and goblins when she comes. Ooh. We will feed the ghosts and goblins when she comes. Ooh. We will feed the ghosts and goblins. We will feed the ghosts and goblins. We will feed the ghosts and goblins when she comes. Ooh. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. Have a happy Halloween. Have a happy Halloween. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. Boo!
And next we have Mrs. Jennifer Miller and her classroom. Oh, look at that little chicken. That's adorable. Mrs. Miller's students are always busy as well. We have some photos to share with you of her students carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. And we also have some video of her singing two different songs. One of them is entitled Dingle Dangle Scarecrow, and the other is Spell Halloween. And as soon as I'm done sharing these crafts that her students made, we'll show you the videos as well. So the first one is this Frankenstein head. And the next one, it looks like her students were busy writing about Frankenstein. So let's take a look at those videos.
Did you hear that sound? Do you know what it was? Did you hear that sound? Do you know what it was? It was tapping. It was shaking.
Mrs. Ken's students are up next. Ooh, that Thanos really looked real with those eyeballs shifting around behind that mask. I have some, we have some photos and videos to show you of Mrs. Ken's students and some parent helpers carving pumpkins. And I also have some crafts to show you. We had to make sure that these little jack-o'-lanterns here did not get squished in our boxes. These are really cool. Check these out. Oh, which way am I going? Everything's opposite on the camera, so I have to make sure I'm doing this the right way. Wait, this way. There we go.
Pumpkins marching one by one, marching to the beat. Pumpkins bobbing up and down, they're marching in the street. Look! They're marching, marching in your neighborhood. Yikes! They're marching, marching just like pumpkins should. Pumpkins marching down the road, marching from the patch to the store. They march and wait in time for you to catch. Look! They're marching, marching in your neighborhood. Yikes! They're marching, marching just like pumpkins should.
Up next, looks like Mrs. Clausmo's classroom. Wow, there's a tall one. I visited Mrs. Clausmo's room probably at the beginning of October, and we have a video to share with you of her students singing Five Little Pumpkins. We also have some pictures to share, but not before I show you this craft. There's our craft that Mrs. Clausmo's kiddos made. Cute little bat. Any parent would love to see this come home and hang it on their refrigerator, I am sure.
Five little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "Oh my, it's getting late." The second one said, "There are witches in the air." The third one said, "But we don't care." The fourth one said, "Let's run and run and run." The fifth one said, "I'm ready for some fun." Woo! And out went the light, and the five little pumpkins rolled out of sight.
Walking around town, seeing them all around. Everywhere you look, there's a bat. Hanging up here and there, hanging up everywhere. Bats are taking over, that's a fact.
And we see Mrs. Bohorik's goblins and ghouls coming up the hallway. Wow, we definitely are seeing a lot of Avenger costumes. I visited Mrs. Bohorik's class as well. And as soon as they're done parading by, we are going to show you the video and some photos of her students carving pumpkins, as well as this craft that they created in class. It is of a jack-o'-lantern sun catcher, and if you check this out, look, they cut up all those tissue paper, and when they take this home, they need to put this on their kitchen window to catch the sun.
Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you some ice. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you a nose. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you a scary smile. And now you're a jack-o'-lantern. The ghosts and the ghouls and the witches, they will run a mile when they see my scary smile. So put me in the window and I'll chase the night away, because I am a jack-o'-lantern. I am a jack-o'-lantern. I am a jack-o'-lantern. Happy Halloween. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you some ice. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you a nose. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you a scary smile. And now you're a jack-o'-lantern.
And finally, our last first grade classroom. Oh, I love her glasses. Mrs. Kreis's beautiful, or I should say bootiful, first graders are coming through right now. Our little paraders are getting a slightly bigger here. Oh my, look at Mrs. Bowen. So cute. We have a video to share of her students singing a song. Or maybe it's a poem. I can't remember. I don't know which one. I don't have it written down here, but the title of it is Whisper, Whisper. So as soon as they go on by, we'll show you that after I show the crafts that they were busy making in their classroom. Looks like Emmett made this owl and Rosalie made this owl. And this spider web and spider was made with, she called this marble painting. So I'm assuming they rolled some sort of marbles across this black to make a spider web. It's pretty neat.
Listen, listen, goblins are there. Hear them tiptoe to your chair. Don't speak a word, don't go achoo! Don't move about or they'll get you.
And the little monsters from second grade are ready now, and it looks like Mr. Kestermont's class is the first of our second grade classrooms to join the parade. Oh, look at that. Oh my, and there's Miss Nancy in her cow costume. I saw a video the other day of a baseball team that they all wore Halloween costumes, and one of the players had one of those dinosaurs on, and it was the most hysterical thing to watch it swing a bat and run to first base. It was awesome. Mr. Kestermont was really busy in his classroom as well. It was really nice because his wife, Mrs. Annette Kestermont, who retired a few years back, came in, and so did his daughter, and it was a family affair. They were actually decorating cookies for Halloween. So we have some videos and photos to show you of that. And I also have these crafts that they made. It looks like they are witch houses. Here are 2 of them. But it was really nice to see Mrs. Kesterman again and to have them all come together as a family to help these kiddos decorate these cookies. And it looks like, well, I don't think that's Mrs. Kelly Myers there. That must be her substitute. I believe that's Mrs. Scaglione. Not quite sure how you pronounce her name. I don't see her too often. Scaglione? Not really sure, but after her students go by, we have some video of Mrs. Kelly Myers' students reciting a pumpkin poem. Ooh, look at that one. There are some really interesting costumes. So let's take a look at that. Oh my goodness, there's Mrs. Wicks. Let's take a look at that video of Mrs. Myers' students and the pumpkin poem. And here comes Mrs. Daly and her second graders. There's one of our Mrs. Penny Myers. She's been here for a few years. It's so great to see all of these adults here every single day helping out these children in any way possible that they can. And as soon as Mrs. Daly's students go by, we'd like to share with you a video of her students singing 5 Little Pumpkins.
The fifth one said,
we have Mrs. Ambrose's second graders. Ooh, that's a spooky one right there in the front. I visited her classroom a few weeks back, and she had her students doing a really neat thing. They were writing about what scares them the most. So I have 4 videos to show you of students sharing their writing samples with you, and then I actually have 2 here to share with you today. This first one, this is an example of what you'll see in the videos. And actually, you know what? I think I would take a snake over a spider any day. So I agree with you there, Kane. And this next one is done by, let's see, Brielle Lashinsky. I'm very scared of snakes. Well, there you go. Snakes and spiders. What does that say? I don't like snakes to bite me, and if they do, I would get very mad. I'm thinking I would feel the same way, Brielle. Great activity, Mrs. Ambrose.
I am very scared of the dark. When it is really dark, I can't see. Pitch black is way too scary for me. I like to see when it's dark. It makes me feel better.
I am very scared of Ferris wheels. Ferris wheels go too high for me. I would rather go on a different ride.
I am scared of snakes. Snakes are very dangerous. I would look at snakes instead of being by one.
I am scared of black widows. Black widows are very venomous. I would rather live somewhere else where there are none black widows.
And next we have Mrs. Shilkowski's. Ooh, we have 2 girls that are matching there. Pretty neat to carry her sign. Oh, right there. That's what scares me the most, I think. More than spiders and snakes are clowns. Oh, I can't do clowns. I don't do anything that's scary, though, actually. Mrs. Shilkowski's class, once they go on by, we have a craft to show you, and following that, we have a video of her students reciting a pumpkin poem. But right now, here is the craft that they created. They did some really neat activities as well. They researched spiders. So we have Sophia and Kyla's spider research here that they did on different types of spiders. Crab spiders, orb spiders, daddy long legs. And then they created some spiders. Sienna and Jersey did those. And these are really cool, too. This is Piper and Kyla's pumpkins. Look how they did that. That's pretty neat. They must have scratched that off of there, and those beautiful colors were underneath. The things they come up with nowadays. I'm starting to sound really old.
One day I found 2 pumpkin seeds. I planted one and pulled the weeds. It sprouted roots in a big long vine. A pumpkin grew, I called it mine. The pumpkin was quite round and fat. I really am quite proud of that. But there is something I'll admit that has me worried just a bit. I ate the other seed, you see. Now will it grow inside of me? I'm so relieved since I have found that pumpkins only grow in the ground.
And finally, we have Mrs. Bakota's second grade classroom, but it looks like that's not Mrs. Bakota. That would be Miss Jen Byer. After her students are done going by, we have some photos to show you of her students. They had just got done decorating some Halloween cookies when Mr. Elias went into her room to get some photos of them, so we'd like to share those with you.
Screaming cats, flying bats, at the door. Candy treats, tasty sweets.
And now it is time for third grade to join all of the witches and warlocks in the parade. Mr. Justin Myers. His third grade class looks like Mr. John Saska is there as well. His classroom made some, ooh, that's a really creepy mask right there. Wow-wee. I hope I don't have any nightmares tonight, that's for sure. Some of his students were making some Halloween treat bags, so would like to share with you some of the photos of Mr. Myers' students making those Halloween treat bags. Let's take a look. And next we have Mrs. Shope's pumpkin patch. Mrs. Shope's students made some Q-tip skeletons. We have some photos to share with you of her students making those, and then I have a couple of them here with me today. These are really neat. I'm not quite sure who did these, so we'll just show these to you. Next one. Yeah, I don't see any names. Oh, that one's done by Austin. And this one looks like Michaela did this one. Great job, students.
Rattling bones. Rattling bones. Beep-fi-fo-fum. Where's that rattling coming from? Beep-fi-fo-fum. Rattling bones, here they come. Rattling bones. Rattling bones. Beep-fi-fo-fum.
And I see Mrs. Byer is next.
Beep-fi-fo-fum. Rattling bones, here they come. Rattling bones.
She was busy with her students making haunted house arrays and multiplication monsters. And as they go on by, we'd like to share with you some photos of her students making those arrays and multiplication monsters. Let's take a look at those. next we have Miss Poldiak's Monsters coming up. Each year, Miss Poldiak makes these really neat haunted houses. I have some photos of her students making these. When my daughter was in her classroom, when she was in 3rd grade, they made these, and oh my goodness, I just love them. I think I still have her haunted house, and she is 19 years old. I know, I save everything. I cannot throw one thing away that the girls did. But these haunted houses are really cool. They're so big, I can't even get them all in here. So you can try to take a look. Courtney did this one, and here's another. Let's see. This one was done by Connor. Beautiful job. And next I see Mrs. Lindsay Baker. I believe this is her 2nd year for the Halloween parade. Some of the students that I teach are in her classroom. Ooh, look at Cleopatra there. My, my. Very pretty. Hi, sweetheart. Yep, I just said some of my students that I teach are in her classroom, and they're yelling my name. And we also have some photos to share with you after I'm done showing you these beautiful spider webs and spiders that Mrs. Baker's class made. You can see, I'll show you. This is the back of it, and we've got these spider webs with the spiders hanging off. Here's another. And as soon as I'm done here, we'll show you some photos of them actually making these. Great job, kiddos.
8 legs crawling on the ceiling. 8 legs.
Did you see that?
8 legs lurking in the bedroom. 8 legs.
That wasn't normal.
I had a dream. I was a spider. And yes, I saw Miss Muffin there. And in my dream, I sat beside her. And yes, I gave her quite a scare. I spun a web, I climbed a wall. I think that I was 6 feet.
And I see Mrs. Howell
I rode my web all through.
and her students coming up the hall.
I was the coolest anywhere. Oh, I had 8.
Wow, there are some really creepy ones in there. Look at that one with that eyeball. Wowee. Her class was busy as well. They created some witches and werewolves and Frankensteins and Draculas. And then they wrote poems to go with them. We have some photos of her students making these, but I have a few here with us today. So this is the Dracula and the witch and Frankenstein, done by Mila. And the last one, oh, this werewolf is adorable. Check that out. Nice job, Mrs. Howell's kiddos.
Rising this morning from my coffin, the sun was shining in my eyes. Though it should have been the death of me, somehow I felt just fine. Creeping through the streets of the city, as
And it looks like, my goodness, we're moving right along here. Mrs. Markham is the very first fourth grade teacher and her crew to come down the hallway. Mrs. Markham and her student teacher made some spiders. We have some photos to share with you of them making those spiders, and then I actually have 2 spiders here with us today. Here's one of them. And the next one. Did I have that upside down? I do. There it is. And next we have Mr. Dave Piccola. And his students are coming by. Mr. Piccola has a student teacher as well, but I don't see him there. But Mr. Piccola and Mr. Mark Mardula made some multiplication mobiles with their students, and we have some photos to share with you as soon as his students go by. So let's take a look at those photos.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family. Their house is a museum. When people come to see them, they really are a scream, the Addams Family. Neat, sweet, petite. So get a witch's shawl on, a broomstick you can crawl on. We're gonna make the Addams Family.
And next we have Mrs. Gordon and her fourth grade ghouls. Oh, look at that yellow guy there. That's different. Ooh, there are some creepy ones there, but it looks like a friendly monster waving. Mrs. Gordon and her student teacher, Hannah Conklin, created some Halloween stations, and Mr. Elias was in her room the other day taking some photos and videos. So let's take a moment and look at those. Next we have Mr. Eric Stone. Oh, there's that clown mask, that it. It's so creepy. Mr. Stone's classroom they were practicing their multiplication facts, and they wrote them down on rats and bats and spiders, and they made this really big web in the middle of their room up on the ceiling. I don't know who that is. Who is that sloth? That didn't look like a student. Trying to figure that out. But let's take a look at these the rats and bats and spiders that Mr. Stone's room made. And honestly, when you see these photos, as soon as I'm done here, they had this big web on their ceiling. It was really, really neat. But these are the rats and the bats and the spiders, all with multiplication facts on those. Great way to practice.
Eight legs crawling on the ceiling. 8 legs.
Did you see that?
8 legs lurking in the bedroom. 8 legs.
That wasn't normal.
Now we have Mr. Cordick's room coming down the hallway.
Was a spider.
Oh, they're taking their time. It's okay. We need to wait for our elderly. Look at that. That is precious. Oh my gosh. I just want to go hug that little old lady right there. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I want to get out of my chair. Oh, that was so cute. So Mr. Cordick's classroom is going by right now. And following his classroom will be Mrs. Dawn McCall. And they sort of teamed up. And they did some really neat Halloween projects. And I'll show you that in between here. I want to see that little old lady again. Wow. They had some really cool costumes, I must say. So let's take a little break and look at these Halloween activities that Mr. Cordick's and Mr. Cordick's and Mrs. Dawn McCall's classes made. So these are conjunction Halloween chains. Let's see here. So let's see. For example, I wanted to sleep over at my friend's house, but the chain says I have gymnastics early tomorrow morning. Yeah, that happens sometimes. So here is another Halloween conjunction chain. And another. Here we go. And then we also have some Frankensteins. Wow, these things are really big. Let's see here. Let's start at the bottom. They wrote some stories about when they were walking home alone one Halloween evening. So these are nice and big. I'll show you. That's one. And another one. This was done by Danica. Her Frankenstein looks like a Frankensteinette with the bright red lips. And this last one is, let's see. Wow, this person did a lot of writing. Pretty neat, huh? They were busy too. I'm telling you, we have a lot of busy teachers and students here in the elementary school. It's not all just fun and games, let me tell you. All right, and here come Mrs. McCall's spooktacular fourth graders. Her class is the last class to come through here for fourth grade. Oh, isn't that different? Look at that, with that alien grabbing that girl. Wow, I never saw a costume like that before. right, and I see Mrs. Gibson's 5th grade class is ready to roll here. Oh, a dancing skeleton. Mrs. Gibson's 5th graders were busy making glue ghosts. I have a video showing you some students who made glue ghosts. And we're going to check that out as soon as her class goes through.
Happy Halloween!
And next we have Mrs. Wayner's students. Oh, what a really neat costume that girl has. Wow. Very nice. So many. Oh my goodness. You parents do an awesome job here with each and every one of these costumes. Once her goblins and ghouls go by, we have a video and some photos to show of her students making some Halloween mobiles and also making glue ghosts. And the video is also of the students showing off their glue ghosts that they made. So let's take a look at those.
If you like autumn, put your hands in the air. If you like autumn, put your hands in the air. If you like autumn, put your hands in the air. Summer's over. Now it's time for picnic grown-ups. So some lonely grown-ups. Here is cooler. Now it's time for picnic grown-ups. So some lonely grown-ups. It's that autumn time of year.
And next we have Mr. Brannis. Now this is Mr. Brannis's very first elementary Halloween parade. He is teaching in 5th grade. Oh, look at the chicken. How neat is that? A dancing chicken, a dancing dinosaur. After his students go by, we have a video to share with you of his students reciting the poem Autumn Ghost Sounds. That is great. Love it. So let's take a look at this video.
When the moon rises high up overhead, and I am snug and warm in bed, in the autumn dark the ghosts move round, making their mournful moaning sound. I listen to know when the ghosts go by. I hear a wail and I hear a sigh, but I can't quite tell which I hear the most, the wind or the wail of some passing ghost.
And next we have Mrs. Stacy Faith, or should I say maybe Dr. Faith? I'm seeing an ongoing theme here with our 5th grade lady teachers. Her students made monster rocks. And we have some videos, some video and photos to show you of her students making those. And I actually have 2 of those monster rocks here with me today. This one's a big one. Check this out. Look at that. That's pretty neat. the googly eyes and all. Googly eyes make everything so much better. Ask Mr. Berta, the art teacher. He will tell you so. And it doesn't have to be multiple. Look, it can only just be one, and it makes things so much better. Great job, Mrs. Faith's kiddos. Oh my goodness. Did you see that, Mr. Lashinsky? Antonio Brown's shirt, but it doesn't say Brown on the back. You know, I am a huge Steelers fan, and I do have to agree with him on that one. Mr. Lashinsky's students were busy making Halloween mobiles as well. So after they're done parading through here, let's take a look at some of those photos. And then we have Mrs. McGo's students. Mrs. McGo's students were busy as well, making some Halloween mobiles. So let's take a moment and check out some photos of that.
Skeletons like to move, rattling to the groove, clicking every bone, while they laugh and moan. So shake, 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 skeleton, shake. So shake, 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 skeleton.
And finally, 6th grade is here. Mr. Passerb's room is the first one down the hallway for 6th grade. Ooh, there's a Chucky costume. Oh my goodness. These kiddos. Oh, look at that. That's so funny. They're getting bigger and bigger. And because of our rainy, windy day here today, Trick or Treat was postponed until tomorrow night. And as long as I live, I've never remembered them postponing Trick or Treat night. I am so surprised that they did so. My goodness, when we were young, we'd go in snow, I believe. But it's okay. Whenever it's rainy like that, you just cannot take a chance. All right, and I see Ms. Oler's kiddos are ready to come down the hallway. look at that costume. That's really different with that pumpkin all swirled around there. Okay, do you remember how I said Mr. Pakula's student teacher, Mr. Mardula? Well, he's switching around here between 4th grade and 6th grade, and I believe that was him in that big old afro right there. And next, I see Mrs. Bolvins and her 3 blind mice leading the way. Oh, that's awesome. What a cute costume. Oh, that's adorable too. And that pickle, wow. Oh, that's so interesting too. I love it. Now, in between rooms here, we do have a Monster Mash video to show you of the 6th graders. This was a song choreographed by Mrs. Nellie Kearney, Mr. Kearney's wife. She is a dance instructor out at Out of His Mind Dance, and she choreographed a dance to Monster Mash that our 6th graders are going to be dancing to. So let's take a look at that.
My eyes beheld an eerie sight, for my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
he did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast, the ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all were digging the sounds. Igor on chains, backed by his baying hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with their vocal group, the Crypt Kicker Five.
They played the mash.
They played the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They played the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They played the mash.
They played the monster mash. Out from his coffin Drac's voice did ring. Seemed he was troubled by just one thing. Opened the lid and shook his fist and said, "Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist?"
It's now the mash.
It's now the monster mash.
The monster mash.
And it's a graveyard smash.
It's now the mash.
It's caught on in a flash.
It's now the mash.
It's now the monster mash. Now everything's cool. Drac's a part of the band, and my monster mash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. When you get to my door, tell them Boris sent you.
Then you can mash.
Then you can monster mash.
The monster mash.
And do my graveyard
Then you can
smash.
mash.
You'll catch on in a flash.
Then you can mash.
Then you can monster mash.
Mash.
Easy, Igor, you impetuous young boy. Mash good.
Monster mash. Monster mash. Monster mash.
Next, we have Mrs. May's 6th graders, Thing 1 and Thing 2 there, leading the way. Oh, look at that clown. Another clown. Wow, there are some really, really neat costumes. Just love it. Would also like to show you some photos of Detective Tom Kern. He is part of the annual tradition here during Red Ribbon Week. He comes in and speaks with our 6th graders every year about the dangers of drugs in our area, and we truly appreciate him coming in and giving this wonderful lesson to our 6th graders. Let's take a look at some of those photos. And next we have Mr. Brezovic's class.
Watch all the time, Mrs. Hosteller.
Oh, there's another one of those aliens carrying the child. Pretty neat. And next, actually, I'd like to show you some of the crafts, actually 2, that my students did in my classroom. One of them you will see on one of the camera shots trying to hide one of the fire extinguishers is a skeleton. And I have one here with me. And if you notice, the really neat thing about these skeletons is it spells out the students' names in the ribs. So this is one that was done by Mackenzie. And it's a tall one. Oh, I have to go the whole way up here. But they did a really neat job. So you have to check out that one on the fire extinguisher. And then we also have we are fortunate enough to have a 3D printer in our classroom. It was sort of given to us by the high school that sent it up here that was last year. But we made these. Oh, can you see that? Wait, see, I can't get this angle right here. Here we are. These are 3D printed ghosts. So we made these in our classrooms, and each of the students got to take one of those home.
Autumn leaf in my hand. How did your color get so grand? You were green, now you're gold. How did your color get so bold? Autumn leaf in my hand. Lovely gold, was it planned? Autumn leaf, you can fly. Lovely gold in the sky. Autumn leaf from a tree. How did you know to come to be? Now we've met, you and I will remember once you fly. Autumn leaf in my hand. Lovely gold, was it planned? Autumn leaf, you can fly. Lovely gold in the sky. Autumn leaf in my hand. Lovely gold, was it planned? Autumn leaf, you can fly. Lovely gold in the sky.
And our final classroom of our parade is Mrs. Lori Roberts' students. Oh, look at that. That's great. Oh, look at the feet on that one. Tell me that poor soul is not going to have sore knees by the time he's done with that parade. Wowee. And it looks like that is it. What a great way to end on that really cool costume right there. My goodness. I can't believe. And we actually made, I'm looking at my watch right now, under an hour, at least for the actual broadcast time. But there are certainly a few people we would like to thank for making this all possible. First of all, our camera people, Mr. Jake Kearney and Mrs. Jenna Tolley. And their expertise on the camera every year is always wonderful. And my right-hand goblin today, which you cannot see, is Mrs. Carissa Hawkinsmith. She's the one who's been handing all of the crafts to me today. I truly appreciate her help. Would especially like to thank Mr. Jay Elias, our Director of Technology and Video Production Manager here at Forest Hills School District. He is running the board and taking care of all of the editing, and I know numerous hours are put into that until we get all of the videos and the photos in between the classrooms and so forth. A great big thank you to Mr. Mitch Kuster and Mr. Kearney again, and all the members of the Forest Hills Marching Rangers for providing us with some great Halloween music as our little goblins and ghouls marched around today. And finally, on behalf of the Board of School Directors, the administration, faculty, staff, and students here at Forest Hills Elementary School, we would like to thank you for being a part of this annual tradition here. I sure do hope to see you again next year. Thank you so much for joining us on our Forest Hills Community Outreach Channel 182 and also on our YouTube channel. This is Kim Hostetler. Have a very safe and spooktacular Halloween.
Ha 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 ha!